Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to call the Environmental Service Committee agenda or meeting to order at 1:01 p.m. for Wednesday, January 19th, 2022. Confirmation of the agenda. We have a mover and seconder for that. Deputy Mayor Ite and Councillor Harold. All those in favor? That's carried. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. So we move on to item 4.1, and that's the Environmental Service Committee minutes of October 20, 2021. Have a mover and seconder for that, and then we can make any questions if there is any. Mayor Mackenzie and Deputy Mayor Ite. Any questions or concerns on the? None. All those in favor? That's carried. Down to 5.1 on the business is the 2021 fourth quarter drinking water report, and leave that for Kevin.
Good afternoon. The 2021 fourth quarter drinking water report. We had no non-compliances during the fourth quarter. We had no reporting requirements to the ministry or spills action during the fourth quarter as well. Again, our microbiological test results are available upon request. SCADA summaries operations are also available upon request. We had no inorganic or organic parameters tested during this quarter. For our chemical tests, which is our quarterly water test, as you can see for our two treatment centers, we had non-detectables. For our nitrates and nitrites, our THMs and HAAs are both well below the legal limit. All of our samples are sent to a accredited lab to be tested. Scheduled operations and maintenance summaries. Some of the highlights of the quarter: cleaned and inspected chemical injectors, switched chlorine pumps at all sites. Cleaned and inspected annual control valve screens. Our quarterly samples were taken. Results were further ahead. Flushed distribution system dead ends. The distribution system itself was flushed, the entire system. Analyzers were cleaned. The automatic blow off was inspected. The PRV at 4 was inspected. Big one was IWS installed the new pump, motor, and level transducer for well 1. They also commissioned the new pump and motor after tests, and results came back good. The pH probe at D4 was replaced. The Wimpole Street extension, the water main was tested and connected to the system. Everything was well there. The silicate pump discharge line at D4 was replaced. Mornington Communications fixed the entry alarm at D4 and upgraded the entry alarms at wells 1, 2, 3, and D1, 2, 3. OGI cleaned out the distribution valves that were found to be full of mud. Those valves were exercised after they were cleaned out. The SCADA contractor verified the flow on SCADA with the flow meters. The SCADA contractor fixed the local control of high lift 4. The oil was changed in the high lifts 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the chemical tanks were inspected at D1, 2, 3, D4, and the tower, both chlorine and silicate. Flow metrics verified the flow meters and level transducers at D1, 2, 3, and D4. Unscheduled operations and maintenance. We had a curb stop replacement at 200 Colton Street and a service line break in front of 6025 Frank Street. There were no water main breaks during the fourth quarter. For calibration summary, as you can see, all of our instruments were calibrated each month. Some of them were done weekly. Operating problems. Occasionally, there are issues with the SCADA system missing data points. Data can be retrieved using backup data loggers. However, there was one instance occurred where the data logger was not recording data. The data was obtained from a program called Historian. The SCADA contract has been asked to address these issues. We had 2 low chlorine events at D123. The first incident occurred when flushing out the line caused residual to drop, and the second was due to a piece of sediment that was stuck in the foot valve. No untreated water was distributed to users on either instance. We also had 2 low chlorine events at D4. The first was originally thought to be a faulty stroke. However, the pump dosed the required amount when tested, so the probable cause was, again, sediment stuck in the foot valve. The second was due to a contractor flushing the bulk water meter when the high lift wasn't running, causing distribution water to run through the analyzer. Again, no untreated water was distributed to users in either instance. Consumer drinking water complaints. On October 12th, a resident on St. George Street contacted the on-call operator with a complaint of no water pressure. Their plumber recorded a static pressure of 60 psi and a residual pressure of 20 psi. Staff explained to the resident that the pressure drop is normal, obviously. The resident bypassed their water softener to no avail. They mentioned they had a half-inch line in their house. Staff informed the resident that the issue was most likely a volume issue and not a pressure issue because of the half-inch line. And staff also recommended a lawn tap to clear the line. On November 5th, a resident on Elwood Street contacted Environmental Services with a complaint regarding low water pressure. The resident asked if Nelson Street construction would be the cause. Staff informed the resident that the construction would not have any impact on them and recommended that they bypass the water softener. The resident called back saying that bypassing the water softener solved the issue. On November 10th, a resident on Nelson Street contacted Environmental Services with a complaint of low water pressure. The house has new plumbing, no water softener or iron filter. The subject is galvanized, however, would not have been recommended. However, staff explained to the resident that are not recommended on galvanized line. That most likely cause the issue because the galvanized line is built up when it's smaller over time. On November 12th, a commercial entity on Huron Road contacted Environmental Services with a complaint that the water left white residue on the vehicle. Staff asked if the property had water softener, and the caller was unsure. They were informed that distribution water is naturally hard water, which could be a reason for the residue. The water used could also have made the issue worse. And then weird infrastructure. The valves were exercising grease at the sandpipe tower. The wells, distribution center 1, 2, 3, and 4. The high and the well pumps were inspected. The generators were inspected after monthly testing. The well testing activities were taken. I mean, it looks good there. The Wind 911 alarm system was tested. The reservoir heads and screens were inspected. The above ground well inspections were completed, and the distribution system was flushed and hydrants operated. Staff continued. An operator missed half a day to seek medical attention after injuring themselves while flushing. There was no further time missed after that half a day. And that is all. Any questions?
Deputy Mayor Wright.
I don't know if you can hear me because I could hardly hear you. Do we randomly test water at businesses? I was an extra the other day and they come in every month. They come in and take a water sample at the store there. We don't have a policy like that, do we?
No.
Okay, didn't know why they do it. They're I forget their water company over there. It's one of the Voila or whatever it's called. So okay.
Any other questions? Can I get a mover and seconder then to, or the fourth quarter drinking water report. Councillor Chantowski, Councillor Harold, all those in favor? That's carried. 5.2, fourth quarter wastewater report.
So the fourth quarter wastewater report, again, we had no non-compliance according to our ECA during the fourth quarter. Nothing reported to the ministry or Spills Action Center. If you look at our operations, our average daily flows are average. Again, nothing's out of the ordinary. Parallel flows, again, pretty standard across the. Can you hear me?
You keep breaking up, Kevin. I think we've lost
my
you.
computer keeps popping up telling me my microphone is having issues. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're fine now.
Okay, sorry about that.
Try turning off your video, Kevin.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
okay.
that's good.
Okay. Again, our Sofina Foods flow is average across the board. Nothing significant there. Our BOD loading, as you can see, is the same as usually. When you add in Sofina, you can see that we are getting close to that threshold. Our average and phosphorus loading is. There's my speaker cut out again. Can you hear me now? No.
Yeah, can now.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, average effluent concentration. Again, the numbers are solid. As you can see, December, so the numbers kind of drop a little bit, but well within our limits. So our average effluent load. Some of the numbers are still higher than normal, but we're still in our limits according to our ECA. Utility readings, again, the hydro power monitoring unit is still not up and running. Our water is a lot less in the fourth quarter than the third quarter. Alum usage has gone up. You look at the graph, you can see the images, the graphs show it depicting the usage going up. After monitoring and reporting, our lab, just the water lab, lab to be tested. There were no sludge activities during the fourth quarter. Some of the highlights for the sale operations and maintenance summary. These are monthly and quarterly sludge samples taken. The grid vortex belt was inspected. The auto sampler lines were flushed. The blower filters were inspected and changed as needed. Cleaned bar screens and inspected level transducers at both pumping stations. Return pumps inspected. Exercised all the valves at the wastewater treatment plant, James Street and Bram Electric installed new gas detection system in the filter room. Replaced the site tube for the alum tank at the wastewater treatment plant. Clean DO probes at the wastewater treatment plant. Full sludge pump 1 inspection at the wastewater treatment plant. DG compressed air installed in the air dryer at the wastewater treatment plant. And flow mattress verified the flow meters. For unscheduled operations maintenance, 3 had a discharge gas tube. The gasket was replaced with a new gasket. 2 at the wastewater treatment plant. Communication failure. We are unable to report 2. The contractor is still working on the solution. Flow meter was not reading 0. From the 0 point calibration on the flow meter, verified at 0.1 liters a minute with no flow, so it's good. There was no lost time due to injury. ML/operating problems. We were unable to perform analysis at the between October 19th and November 25th. our tower was getting repaired. We blew a fuse in the pressure panel for the filters. The new amplifier pulls too much current, so we blew a fuse there. We diverted those from point sections to the lagoon during the repairs, so we did not bypass. Filters were able to clean themselves. Ran electric, brand new pump from the air dryer, returning to normal operation. And the impeller off for return pump 2, it cannot be repaired. The new filter return pump that was purchased to replace pump 1 was installed for pump 2, and the new one was ordered to replace pump 1. There were no wastewater complaints during this quarter. Now, review of infrastructure, pumps were inspected at both pump stations, the bores were inspected, the Allen pumps were inspected, the alarm system was tested, the grid vortex was inspected, the digesters were pumped down and inspected, and SCG flow metrics verified flow meters. Upcoming events, the digesters will be emptied and cleaned again, inspected again. The stand washers will be replaced at the wastewater treatment plant. Filter return pump 2 will be permanently plumbed in, and new level transducers will be installed at the James Street sewage pumping station. And that is all.
Does anybody have any questions for Kevin after that report? We all had it in front of us. I guess we were reading along. Any questions? None? Can I have a mover and seconder then for the fourth quarter wastewater report? Deputy Mayor Wright and Councillor Harold. All those in favor? That's carried. 5.3 environmental service report from Richard.
Good afternoon. So we'll start off with drinking water operations. The fire department's new communications equipment has been installed at the standpipe on Arthur Street, and it's operational. An update on the ICIP Phase 2 grant application that was submitted. It's still under the review process. The Ministry of the Environment, Conservation and Parks drinking water system inspection will be conducted in January of 2022. This is for last year's operating period. Annual water taking reporting to the MECP will be completed before the deadline. It's actually been completed. Thank you, Caitlin. The reporting for the Ontario Regulation 45007 charges for industrial and commercial water users is due by March 31st, 2022. We get that completed in coordination with the finance departments as they have the information comes from them. Wastewater, are there any questions on water operations? No. Okay. Wastewater operations, reporting submissions for the Federal Effluent Regulatory Reporting Information System for 2021 have all been completed. Environmental Services continues to conduct surveillance monitoring of waste streams from large users. The sewage plant continues to see heavy loading from the Sofina Foods Mitchell site. There was a high-level management meeting between Sofina Foods and the municipality of West Perth staff in late December to discuss excess loading matters and operational concerns. Sofina has submitted another data sheet or a data set spreadsheet for the excess loading calculations of 2019-2020. In this instance, the base loading of 300 kilograms per day is removed from the premium surcharge calculation. Both municipal and Sofina calculations have been submitted for review to the agreement's original author for an in-depth evaluation, with the hopes that the final outcome will be a conclusive calculation method that addresses any potential for misinterpretation. I'm actually working on that's been done, and I'm working on the summary report right now. It is confirmed that representatives from BM Ross have been invited to the next committee meeting to review suggested sewage plant expansion and upgrade options to meet the current and future treatment needs and requirements. The specific items needing to be addressed are the organic loading of the plant, the sludge generation, which is directly related to the organic loading, and the impending limits which are going to be placed on nitrates in the sewage plant's effluent discharge to the Upper Thames River. Sanitary collection system inspection and maintenance protocols are going to be updated in 2022. Are there any questions in regards to wastewater? Going once, going twice. Landfill operations. Weekly and monthly inspections on all landfill sites have been completed up to the final week of January 14th, 2022. Household hazardous waste materials. The depot was last serviced on November 16th, 2021. Reporting requirements to Product Care Association have been completed up to the October service date. E-waste staff are still working on the wrinkles out of the sorting process for the electronic waste materials. A lot of items are not considered actual e-waste, are being intercepted and redirected to the appropriate disposal locations. An additional bin has supplied for oversized and old CRT televisions. Automotive materials have been picked up by our regular service provider. Apart from the revised agreement, this transition has been the smoothest of any in the from the old stewardship programs. Staff believes there should be a review of current waste definitions, fees, and current disposal methods. There continues to be a large quantity of recyclable, recoverable materials being disposed of, specifically cardboard and wood products. Other jurisdictions are charging premium fees for loads containing primarily mixed recyclables, example, wood and cardboard and metal. An alternative solution is also required for the disposal of mattresses. Both of these items will require an increase in specific fees being charged to customers. I'll provide further updates as we review alternate disposal methods or recycling methods. Any questions on landfill operations? Yes, Mr.
Yeah, you can say whatever you want. Hey, so are they saying that people, like, they take the people up the hill and put the cardboard in the cardboard and the wood in the wood? So who's putting it in the wrong one? Our employees?
No.
Or,
so we have corporate customers. So construction companies, they don't want to, is one example. And yes, the two big, Sofina doesn't really break their stuff down, so it just ends up coming up in the back of a garbage truck and it gets dumped in. A number of construction companies don't want to separate wood and cardboard. I guess they get some stuff in tri-walls and stuff like that. Electrical contractors are another group that would prefer not to. So you end up with a load that's primarily cardboard on wooden skids, right? And if they, they pay for it right now, if they separated it, there's a pretty good chance that the cardboard's not going to cost them anything, and they're not going to have over 400 kgs of wood. So it's they're paying to be lazy. Oh, we're recording this, aren't we? Yeah. So it's it's one of those costs. Does that answer your question? Okay. Any more questions? Okay. Environmental services. COVID protocols are still being followed by environmental services staff. Matter of fact, we've kind of beefed them up a little. In coordination with the finance department, a new water wastewater, it's not a billing system. It's the reading system that's being updated. It's being rolled out. It's Neptune 360. The new system allows for multiple staff to extract data from the system, and it's hoped that this will streamline the dissemination of information so customers with continuous leaks and high consumption can be contacted and advised of the situation promptly. That way we're intercepting angry phone calls from people who have, elevated readings, or they have leaks that have caused elevated readings, which result in elevated bills. If we can advise them before they get the surprise in the mail, then they can expect it, and we can probably address usually most of the concerns, like a running toilet, water softener that's locked in bypass or something. So it helps out the consumers. We actually started the rollout of that last Friday. The folks involved are getting logged in, and we're getting the database populated, so that all of our water meters are on the system, and we can start utilizing it. It should also save some time for the billing utility clerk. DWQMS, the internal audit of the DWQMS was conducted in October 2021. There was a single minor nonconformance regarding the failure by outside contractors to follow municipal specifications for fittings and appurtenances during the construction of new developments. There were also 5 opportunities for improvement. Each was associated with documentation primarily. And the final, or the annual, NSF external surveillance audit will be conducted February 17th, 2022 by the NSF representative. Any questions on the environmental services report? Then I humbly turn the meeting back to the chair.
If there's no further questions for Richard, can we get a mover and seconder for the environmental service report? Councillor Chankowski. Seconder, Mayor McKenzie. All those in favor? That's carried. Item number 6 is new business. So that's the backflow prevention. Update from Caitlin.
Everyone can hear me? Okay, so yeah, just a quick update on the backflow prevention program. So just to recap, one of our OFIs from our external NSF audit was to review the controls for the backflow prevention program, just as there wasn't really any enforcement in place at the time. So in 2011, the backflow bylaw was passed. It just stated that there had to be backflow prevention devices in industrial, commercial, institutional, and multi-residential buildings. It also stated that the backflow prevention device was to be inspected when it was first installed and then annually thereafter. So in the beginning of September, we sent out a letter just reminding commercial property owners of their responsibility to have their backflow devices tested. The first letter generated little response. We didn't really hear anything from anybody. So then in mid-November, we sent out another letter. This time it quoted the provision from the bylaw that states that the municipality is entitled to shut off the water supply to the property until the provision is met. That generated a much larger response from commercial owners. So I'll just do a little recap of the numbers. In 2019 and 2020, we had a total, both years, there was a total of 27 addresses that had submitted their backflow prevention device reports. So in 2019, there was a total of 53 backflows tested from that 27 addresses. And then in 2020, from the 27 addresses, there were 82 total backflows tested. Last year in 2021, we had a total number of 92 addresses. And then there was 153 total backflows tested. So there was quite a jump in numbers. We've been using our computer maintenance management system to actively track the inspections. It's a bit of a work in progress, just as equipment details and work orders are generated as the reports come in. Once the address is in the system, the program will reissue the work order for the next year. We had a lot of phone calls. Well, I had a lot of phone calls coming in after that second letter. Some people had no idea what a backflow preventer was. Others stating that they didn't have one. We then told them that they need to get one installed. There were some devices out there that actually couldn't be tested. So they were told to get them replaced. We also had quite a few people say they were just kind of asking about a timeline, just as plumbers in the area seem to be very busy these days. So I kind of told them no set time frame, but we are actively looking for those inspection reports to come back sooner rather than later. And then there are a few people who felt that they were exempt from the bylaw, unfortunately. So compliance efforts greatly increased in 2021. Staff will continue outreach and enforcement into 2022. Any questions? All right.
Okay, no questions for Caitlin. So I guess the next is correspondence, which I see there's none. And the next item is actually item 8, and it's recommendation that the Environmental Service Committee sets the 2022 meeting schedule dates as proposed. Those April 20th, 2022, July 20th, 2022, and October 19th, 2022. If everybody's okay with those dates, we'll have somebody move and second them. Moved by Councillor Harold, seconded by Councillor Chankowski. All those in favor? That is carried. So the next item is actually a motion to adjourn.
Excuse me, Chair.
Sure.
Before we get BM Ross, I believe that's who's coming next meeting. Will we have
Yeah.
some better background information? Richard or Mike or?
Yes, we're currently supplying them with data for both water, wastewater, and then there's some discussions going on with the Sofina in regards to their pre-treatment. So once that information is all gathered up, it'll be, I'm sure that they will provide us with a copy of the draft report that they intend to present, and we'll make sure that you guys have it, the committee members have it prior to the meeting so that you can give it a good peruse.
Okay, thanks. Any other questions and concerns? Then motion to adjourn the meeting at 1:35. Deputy Mayor, Councillor Harold, all those in favor? The meeting's adjourned.
Thank you.